All right, you grasshoppers, we're back in one form or another. James Patrick, you can't get rid of him now. He's staying with us, thank God. David's back after his gig there doing the radio with the semifinals. So we're going to call this Happy Canada Day for everybody too, but we're also going to call this National Carving Day too. We're going to rip into some people today. James was just doing that off air. It's terrible. I don't know if he'll do it on the air, but awful. How you doing, David?
I'm doing well. It's nice to see you, and always nice to see James. Jeep. Yeah. We used to visit when he was in Dallas and Buffalo.
Yeah, I miss seeing you. But I always, like I said, I enjoy anytime I get to hear you during the game. I love it, really.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good stuff. It's like Freddie Sherwood. It's only hockey.
Yeah. Right? Did you wear that hat, Dave, when you were doing radio? Or
I didn't. Actually, no. I did a couple times in the studios, in when the Rangers during the Rangers season. Yeah, it's a hat for radio. Actually, this is from it's a reminder for our trip to Rome in 2019.
Oh, nice, very nice. So we do have to mention Larry Melnick is off on a vacation. He was going to set us up with his wife to have on. That did not happen as usual. And Gresh, we've heard from Gresh. He had his procedure with his heart, and I spoke to him yesterday, and he was fine. Well, he'd still go groggy and everything after it, but made it through successfully. So now he'll recover.
Yeah, I exchanged texts with him yesterday.
Oh, did you? Oh, good.
Yeah. Good. So he seemed to be. They weren't long texts. He must have got tired hitting the letters. But we have Gresh. It's when you told me that, or when I heard, it just kind of puts everything back in a little perspective, right? You go, holy cow! But he'll fight through it. Those Western Canadian guys, they're a lot of heart in those guys. So a lot of heart in it.
I know it's. I'm thankful that he made it through and he's feeling good, and miss watching him on the show. So if Gresh is watching, get back here.
Yeah,
seriously, quit laying around doing nothing, for God's sakes. Get up.
Yeah, really. Get up here. Get up and do something. That's like Fergie used to say, tape an aspirin to that heart. And you can't say it's a long way from your heart, right? Because
that's right. That other line doesn't work. Yeah, that's right.
That doesn't work.
Yeah. All right. So in all seriousness, we were talking. So there's been 3 hirings as coaches in the National Hockey League. Arizona just announced that they hired Torigny, I think you said. Buffalo retained a coach that was already in there on an interim basis, and Don Granato. And then Hackstall was hired by Seattle. And Hackstall, and again, when we talk about coaches like this, it's not a personal thing. It's just we're analyzing. And for me especially, it's not that those guys are bad coaches. It's kind of like they're unproven coaches in my mind, especially when there's other coaches out there that are proven, like Claude Julia's out there, Rick Tockett's out there, and people are going to have different reasons. Maybe it's money reasons. Like David, you mentioned, maybe it's a money reason there in Arizona, so they got a little cheaper. But kind of just to me, it's like, okay, especially with young teams, when you got to have some experience someplace. And just kind of surprised, don't you think?
Well, I defer to Jeep. You've been behind the bench in the league, and you've been behind the bench in juniors. What are your thoughts?
I was surprised by some of the hirings. Tortorella is another name out there who I say what you will about him. The guy's been a winner everywhere. He gets the most out of his teams. And I think he's adjusted with the game. It's funny, played a long time. I didn't realize the real impact that the coach had on the team until I started coaching. And I mean, I will say, as from the coaching side, Lindy, who was assistant for a couple of years with the Rangers, was a mentor of mine. But it's amazing when I see some of the guys hired to be a head coach. Now you have to have presence. You have to have respect to the players. You have to be able to make adjustments. You have to be able to teach. You have to be able to relate to young players. When I think I could talk about Lindy as a coach, when you see him on camera, he looks old. See him in person, he's a young guy.
Yeah, right.
Got energy. He's funny. He's enthusiastic. He's smart. And so I knew Hackstall I watched him coach Philly for a couple of years. I knew him from North Dakota. And I never felt he had all those things, not really much presence.
Yeah.
I think he, maybe relates to young guys. He was a teacher come from college, but you got to have the respect of the the veterans in that room as well. You gotta be able to. You have to have the presence to be the boss. You got to put a veteran player in his place at some time, but you also have to earn their respect. So,
yep.
I think some of the younger coaches have trouble doing that. I mean, if I go back to the Rangers, I think over the 3 years, I think Quinn was able to get that, and I think he did a good job. I feel bad that he was let go because I think this Ranger team's coming into their own. These young players through the rebuild, and I thought you look at some of the guys who had fantastic years. Look at Fox.
Right.
I mean, those guys. There's a number of guys who had great years under the coach.
Yeah. I mean, as Lindgren's developed, Zibanejad's had career years. Georgiev was used right now. Benoit Allaire has a lot to do with that. But you're right, James. I think the stand. Then David Quinn. I know Quinn was down to the last round with Seattle, and for whatever reason, I'm a little bit baffled also as to why.
Well, you know what I heard when I was on with Kevin Allen, he was saying that when Hextall was hired in Philadelphia to start with, he was in a cab, I think, with Ron Hextall prior to getting fired, and had a conversation about hockey. And I guess Hextall was really impressed with the way he handled himself during that. And I guess the same thing happened with Ronnie Francis. They happened to be in a cab together someplace, and he was very impressed. But man, I'm trying to think, if I'm a GM, okay, if I'm Ron Francis in Seattle, I'm starting a team. I saw how the success that Vegas had, and they had Gerard Gallant in there as a coach, a player, a guy that had coached before. And then now you're going to start a franchise and you hire Hextall. And again, could be a fine coach, but there's other guys out there. It's like why would you choose to go that way? It's got to be more than just a good conversation. You just want to take him to dinner every once in a while to do that, but he's coaching your hockey team, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the key for Hextall is to get somebody in a cab, right? Somebody in a cab, you got a great. Forget about it. That's like the guy who's really good in the locker room. After a while, you don't want to stay in the room. You're no good at the ice anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe it's when he gets fired in Seattle. There, maybe that could be a career for him. Like he just rides around in a cab with people, getting paid.
Be like James Corden. He's making a lot of money on that. CBS does that at night, right?
Yeah.
He rides around in the cab.
Yeah.
But no, I do. Well, one of the things with the hire of Gerard Gallant apparently was just that he has that presence. He has that, and maybe that it didn't take long. Have you met David Quinn at all along the way, James?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I've met him a few times.
He's a pretty impressive guy. He really is. I mean,
I think he's going to coach again this league. He'll be head coach in the NHL again.
Sure.
I think. Look how the game's played right now. Watch these playoffs, how hard they are. Look how hard Tampa plays. They're skilled players now.
Yeah.
He was trying to get the Rangers to play that way. They're skilled players.
Right.
There's probably a little pushback on that.
Sure.
And maybe that's one of the reasons he was let go. There ain't going to be any pushback now with Gallant coming in. He's the boss.
Yeah.
And if you aren't going to play that way, at some point you might be the best player on the team. If you aren't ready to compete and battle, like Point. Look at the best players on Tampa compete so hard. That's why they win.
And James, I know you guys are all the same way. I know it also comes from the teammates too, right? The coach can lead that, but the team in the locker room has to be demanding of that. The leaders have to play that way, right? That's
the culture. That's your leadership group. They have to be on board. It's a partnership now, coaching with I think that's where Gerard's going to come in with the Rangers, but he at some point his presence will be felt.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think you need your top players to be a prick competitively. I mean, those are the things. I mean, you look at that Boston culture, Tampa culture, Islander culture. The teams that win, their top guys don't shy away. They get involved.
Yeah.
And again, I defer to James because you've had, hands-on in the best league in the world from behind the bench. So my observation, boy, that, Sid's got a streak to him, Getzlaff, Perry, and all that.
Okay, sorry, Dave, to interrupt you here, but this is a newsflash here. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Quick story. My brother's name is James. At the Meadowlands after a Devils game outside and Rangers locker room sometime around 1986, he saw you, introduced my two nephews to you. He said, "Hi, James. These are my two sons, James and Patrick." You looked at him like he was nuts. So somebody named the kids after James Patrick.
No, they're probably 15 and 16 at the time. They hadn't even heard of me yet.
No, I don't think that's true. Well, that's even more. Like you were probably in college and they started naming the kids after you. That's how good you were.
Coincidence of having two first names. That's all that is.
That's right. I never thought you had two first names. You don't trust a guy with two first names, or you always trust James Patrick.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
So let's do a little analysis here. So Mel went to hang out with Ron Flockhart in, where was it? Saskatchewan? What is it?
He went to Sicamous.
Sicamous, that's what it was, Sicamous. So let's try to picture that. So the Ronnie Flockhart, do you know him at all?
I don't know.
Remember
Flocky Hockey from.
Yeah, I thought he had a little bit of a colorful personality, right?
Yeah.
So him and Larry Melnick are sitting in a canoe out in the middle of the ocean. There was a lake there, having a couple of wobbly pops. Mel's probably complaining about everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's day one. They're in the canoe. Now we'll fast forward to day 3, and Flocky Hockey's swimming to the shore.
There you go. Mel's by himself. Mel doesn't even know he's gone.
He's knocked out on the dock. There couldn't be two more opposite hockey players.
Yeah.
So Mel will muck it up as good as anyone can, and Flocky was the Dipsy Doodle King.
That's right. He was flying around, wasn't he? Yeah, he was a good skater.
Yeah,
Where's he from? He's Canadian, right?
Yeah, he played junior in Regina. Was a
Western Canadian guy. Yeah, he was a fairly charismatic player, right? He could. That'd be very interesting as the week goes on and they're out on the canoe to see the different stages of fishing with Mel.
See, do you think Mel's got the shirt off, or do you think he's leaving the shirt on? Right.
It's got to be off. It's 110 degrees there this week. It is. It's been the record heat wave.
Yeah.
Are we thinking sunburn for Mel? Like he takes his shirt off?
Mel's had about 15. What's he drinking? Coors Lights or
wobbly pops
Wilson Lights up there. He's passed out on the shore, red as can be.
You got the Pabst Blue Ribbon beer going on. It's a sunburn.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, it'll be interesting to hear that. So we should track down Flockhart. Get him on.
We should get some videos. I'll see if I can dig up some videos of the scene. That's what Mel, James, what are you doing for Canada Day? Anything?
Nothing. It's I'm in my. I got 2 days of quarantine, so I'm supposed to. I got my work in this morning. I cut the grass. I'm watering the grass right now, and I'll watch the Euro Cup soccer.
Nice. That'll be exciting.
Yeah. So I'm not allowed to leave my house. I've gotten like about 4 phone calls and 1 visit to make sure I'm here.
Really? Where were you? You were in America, right?
Yeah, I was in the States, and so if you come back here, you have to stay in. You got 2 COVID tests. You have to stay inside for 2 weeks, 14 days.
So that is that being changed though? July 5th?
I think so. July 5th.
Yeah. There's no longer the point.
So James, I got to take you to task a little bit here. You're watering your lawn in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I know. You're supposed to do it like first thing in the morning and late in the evening. I was gone for a while, and the kid across the street was cutting my grass, so I was supposed to water it.
Oh.
And it's been real hot here. It's been about 6 weeks of no rain, and so I'm trying to rescue my grass. I've got real bad air patches.
You need to soak it. You need to soak it. Leave that sprinkler on for hours, right? Get those roots deep down in the ground. Okay.
That's what I'm going to do all day. So.
Yeah, that's what Chief Laidlaw, my father, used to do. He used to soak that. So the theory is that the water goes down into the ground. The roots follow the water. So that's why it's strong grass. If you just sprinkle it on top, the roots are coming back up top. It doesn't work, right?
Jeez, there's another angle of Tommy Laidlaw that I would never have thought. He was sitting in a hotel room with Mike Rogers and
drinking a bottle of Jack.
Drinking a bottle of Jack Daniels.
And I do landscaping.
Renaissance man. That's who you are.
A bucket of chicken wings night before a game. That was Tommy's meal the day before.
Oh God, I will never forget the time when we were in St. Louis. Dave, I can't remember if you were there or not. And Willie Huber and John Van Beesbrook, the bunch of guys got a dinner, and they'd gone to a bar after, and it was Teddy Sater. So Teddy Sater had gone into the bar, and there was those guys sitting there having a drink. Most guys did that at that time. So now Sater's outraged, right, that these guys are there. He comes, like, I'm one of the assistant captains. He comes into my room, and I've got the bottle of Jack Daniels with me. I have to, the door knocks, I have to slide it underneath the bed. And he's outraged that these guys at the bar. I'm going, oh, Ted, you're right. This is terrible stuff. These guys are bad guys.
They're bad guys.
Oh God. I'll never forget. I couldn't stop laughing when he finally left the room. I was just dying laughing at myself. I was sitting there all by myself, just laughing.
I mean, one more Ted Sater was. I just think it was tough because he was younger than guys on the team. Kind of the same age. I mean, I know you knew him, and guys knew him or had a history with him. And
where did he come from when he came to the Rangers? Was he a junior coach or college coach?
Assistant in Philly, and I think assistant in college before that.
Yeah. I met him. They had that hockey camps. Remember? I can't remember the hockey camp.
Huron Hockey Schools? Or?
Yes, Huron Hockey School. Yes. Yeah, that's how I know. Right. Actually, he came up to Northern Michigan and coached at the hockey camp up there as well.
Right. And then he went to Buffalo, and that was it, right? Was that it after?
Yeah. Was he in Boston for a little bit too?
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was Boston. Maybe not. I remember can't remember where it was, but somebody that had watched him, they started realizing, what's this guy doing? And they'd see him on the bench. The play would happen, and he'd walk down to the player that was involved in the play, never talk to the player, turn around and walk back where it was before to try to make it look like he was doing something. And they caught on to it. They're watching. They go, watch him. And they kept doing it all the time. The last one.
I saw Clark Gillies out at the Coliseum, and I forgot. I should have started. We had a great setup there. We were right in the main concourse there. And he was sitting about 3 rows over and 2 down. I should have started chanting, Teddy.
Yeah.
Teddy.
But as long as you're a distance from stay away from guys.
Yeah, and be ready to run too.
Oh man. He's a good guy. It was funny having him on the show. How good a guy
he was great.
Did you see that, James, the show we had?
Yeah. He was good. We'd like to say he really got old.
How was that atmosphere?
It was tremendous. It was the same as when, the difference was, half the crowd would have been Ranger fans. The building was full when we were in there.
Yeah.
But a large percentage of the crowd would be Ranger fans. They were 14,000 Islander fans, and there were 12,800 of them had a jersey on or a hat or something like that.
What was throwing the beer bottles all about after that? Was it game 6?
Yeah, it was game 6. I got hit with a little shrapnel, a little beer and stuff we got hit with. Huh? But no, somebody said, well, they were, celebrating the fact that it was going to be the last game in the building. And I'm like, well, why don't you take a picture or something like that? Throwing beers. But it sounds like they're going to play there starting next season too.
Oh, why? The rink won't be done, the new one?
Yeah, it doesn't. It sounds like the rink won't be done for opening. Schedule them on the road apparently, but if not, they're going to go back there. So that celebration will happen again.
Yeah. Dave, have you heard anything about assistant coaches with the Rangers?
No. He had apparently is a guy. Do you know James Mike Kelly?
Yeah, he's been with them
forever, right?
The whole way. So I figured he'd be coming with them.
Yeah. That's it. I haven't heard.
How about James Patrick as defensive coach?
There you go. Bring back G.
I'm loving what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, right. I'll tell you one thing. You talked about Lindy earlier. He was the one that really kept Vigneault's staff together. There's Scotty Ornell was there, right?
Yeah.
But he kept everybody, with the training staff and the players, and he was really, really important to the run they had. Outside of what he was contributing X and O's wise.
So this guy, James, just he tries to pretend he knows what he's talking about. So I'll put that up there, but he doesn't know really anything.
No, the Islanders will open in Bridgeport, but it's going to be the Bridgeport Islanders. They changed the American League team to the Islanders. So
Larry, this is where you come for information. We've got the information. Don't try to pretend that you know what you're talking about. You can ask questions if you'd like.
Yeah. So anyway, so it was, but the same thing. I mean, there were 18,000 people in Tampa, and if the building was built the same way as the Coliseum was, with the intimacy of the stands right on top of the rink and not sweeping back, it had been every bit as loud because it was loud in there.
Yeah. I get asked what's my favorite rink to play in, and I would say the Island. Like because we all played most of our games with the Rangers. So I probably played the most road games in the Island, the Meadowlands, the Spectrum. Maybe Pittsburgh was always in our division as well. So, but those games in the Island were more fun to play. I like the ice. I like the atmosphere. They were
even the preseason games were.
There was no better feeling than to win in the Island. The Island and Philly. Any game you won in those buildings was like, it felt special. And so I'm sad to see that rink go. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was.
It was my favorite road rink for sure. I like going back to Toronto.
Yeah.
Because that was home. The Leafs were my then. But that was my favorite building because right in warm up, they'd be 4 and 5 deep on the glass.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was a great building.
And they're hanging over the glass to me too. It's like you're in the middle of it. Yeah, it's good.
They either really like you or they really hate you. So
the Spectrum, they had that guy behind the net with the signs too.
Yeah. Here's our roving reporter, Rich Pisano, Coach of the Year in Greenwich, Connecticut. Lou Lamoriello said on Fan, the Islanders play all preseason games at Bridgeport in the first 8 games on the road, so they can put up.
Cool. Hey, Rich, I know you're watching. I can't get the beer you requested.
But he came in looking for a certain beer?
He messaged me on Facebook, and I don't know how to message back.
Right.
I'm rarely on. I just peek at it once in a while. And apparently Labatt's has a Stanley Cup brew or something.
Oh, okay.
That you can only get in Canada, apparently.
But Rich is kind of bougie that way. Like he likes those fancy things like that.
Yeah. Figure, those high paid town guys.
Yeah, that's right too. Sitting around.
Years. That's what he said. Money's no object too. That's also.
Oh, did he say that? Oh, that's terrible. That is bougie. Oh, Rich.
No, that's. I did check, but you can't get it here according to the distributors down here. So anyway.
Oh, here's a good question, Dave, from our sometimes fan Susan. Sometimes she picks on me, but who do you think the Rangers will lose to Seattle?
Oh boy. Seattle should take is Rooney. He's a guy. Now again, if they're not going to take D'Angelo because they could probably sign him cheaper. Buy him out.
What's that, James?
They'll get him for nothing. They wouldn't.
Yeah. So
who are they protecting, Dave?
Well, I haven't seen the latest. You got to think. Well, who's exempt? I mean, so it's Panarin, Kreider. Anajad. Who else is up front?
So how does it work? Like, are the young kids, like the Capo Cacos, are they available?
No.
Frenier aren't.
Yeah. I think if you're on an entry-level contract, you're not available.
Okay.
So they'll have to protect Lindgren, Trouba.
Fox might be different. They might have to protect Fox because he came in later from college.
Yeah. Yeah, he's on a 2 or 3 year deal. I'm not sure. I did read that somewhere, but I can't remember. And it was only some people surmising what.
Do you think people make a bigger deal about who they're going to lose and how it's going to affect their team? Like, I don't. Like, even after Vegas took those players, I don't really think it affected anybody, did it? I mean, I know what's his name?
It affected Florida.
Oh.
Yeah, Marshall Show, right? And they traded. They did some, again, there was the side deals like the Tuck.
Yeah.
There are different players that they were able to kind of so. Yeah,
who's a good defenseman? Vegas got there from Anaheim, didn't they?
Theodore.
They traded for him, right? So they wouldn't hit somebody else. Is that what it was?
At the time, they protected Manson. geez, what's
the guy that ended up with the Devils.
Kapanen.
No, not Kapanen. Yeah, was it? No,
he's a Finn.
Yeah,
they had Lindbaum, and they had their top defenseman now.
See, here's an interesting discussion regarding the Rangers. To go out and get a guy like Reeves, I guess the theory they're thinking about there is that okay, they got to get tougher, but that doesn't make the rest of the team tougher because you get one guy that's tough, right?
Well, again, James has been a lot closer to the game on X's and O's basis. I think it's it might be now watching the playoffs. Reeves can't play in the playoffs. He
Right.
can't play in the playoffs. But the toughest in the playoffs, everybody is willing.
Right.
You know, everybody will pay whatever they got to pay, right?
Yeah.
I think it might be a little bit like you need sensational goaltending during the regular season to have a shot at the playoffs. You don't have it. I don't think you have a chance to make the playoffs.
Right.
And I think you might need somebody like Reeves in the regular season.
Right. Yeah, right.
Like,
But how about like a guy like a Matt Martin, right? I mean, he seems like he's a better player. And it's not just his fighting. He plays like a hard game. To me, that's the issue. It's not necessarily the fighting part. What do you think, James?
I agree totally. If Reeves can't get there to finish the checks, he's not as effective. But Martin is guy like that is huge.
Yeah.
Those guys are hard to come by. That he can play good defensively. That line plays against the other team's best line all the time. You're not afraid to put your fourth line. They're called the fourth line. They're probably as much as the third line. But when you're not afraid when they're on the ice against the other team's best players, it's such a luxury for your head coach. You control the matchups. You put them against the other team's best line. Then you get one of your top two lines against the other team's third line or fourth line. That's where mismatches are created. But also what Martin adds, that toughness, the compete,
right. And, you can score. I think, I don't think – I do think you need some sort of heavyweight in the season. And the more I watch it, I'll tell you, the guys that have impressed me, and they were not only this year, is like guys like Goudreau, Coleman, Armia, Cizikas, those guys, they're probably going to get overpaid somewhere, and I'm not sure where the Rangers are as far as are they that close that they can afford to overpay somebody like that.
Yeah.
And
it's that old argument. You don't want to take away a spot that a young kid could be taking to develop with, right?
Although I think he did say in his little meeting with the media that he didn't like the young guys on the fourth line role. He said that's not a place for them to develop. Which is interesting, but I don't know if you can get guys that can play with an edge and can play like the play that Coleman made, last night and Goudreau to get it to Coleman. And then I'm telling you, watch them play. That's the thing. You watch a guy like Braden Point play 7 games over 2 weeks, and you go, "Holy cow, that guy is a player. That kid can play. Yeah. He plays in all 3 zones. He's tough." And the other guy that impressed me too was Pelech, the guy with the Islanders. Watch him 7 games over 2 weeks, and you see him every other night. You go, "Geez, that guy can play."
Yeah, he's their best defenseman.
Oh man, right?
Yeah, he's.
The thing is, when you look at those guys, though, they were slow developers, right? I know Pollock was a first rounder. I think Pelech was a top second. And I think Mayfield might have been a little bit deeper, but they played between them like almost 450 games in the American League. Which really says a lot about guys developing when they develop, right? Rather than force-feeding guys.
I also noticed, if you look at the teams that are the last 8 teams playing, there weren't that many small defensemen.
No.
I don't know if that again, the game's changing. That means bigger. You look at the Islanders D. Those guys you just mentioned, Tampa's D. Oh my God!
Right.
Hedman's can do everything. He's 6'6".
Right.
Montreal's D, who I got question marks about, but they got big guys. They're big. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's the flavor of this year, and I'm not saying it's going to stick that way because.
Yeah. But you look at the teams that have won over the last few years. They have some pretty big defensemen, right? That still stays true. Speaking of,
you need that one playmaker back there.
You have to move the puck.
Yeah.
well, speaking of that kind of player, Fox wins the Norris Trophy. You guys surprised by that?
I was a little surprised.
Yeah.
Very happy for him. And listen, he warranted, a conversation to be in the final three, I thought. But the thing was too, didn't see Hedman, didn't see Makar, only in the playoffs over the course of the season. So I just thought, maybe another year, legit, but good for him.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I think he probably maybe had the best year because the other guys were hurt. I think the other guys Makar and Hedman are more dynamic.
Right.
That Makar, he's got some elite skating skills, and he can move. He can get from his zone to the other zone,
Yeah. And you're right, James. I think there are more. But when you watch Fox, it's one of those things. When you watch Fox all the time, you're right. He's not as dynamic. Right. Yeah. It's just he does all those little things all right all the time. He's so poised with the puck. Yeah.
I think Strida had a better year. With how consistent he was, and again, you got hockey sense.
Yeah.
If you've got really good elite hockey sense, you can defend. You don't have to be big and physical if you're always in the right spot and you got good stick, and then you move the puck and then you can join. I think there's some great young D. I think that Heiskanen in Dallas he is unreal. Like Makar and Fox is right in. Those guys are going to be real good for
McAvoy in Boston.
McAvoy. Exactly. Yeah, those four guys.
Like that to me was like the next wave of legitimate Norris contenders. About Nurse, what do you think of Nurse?
I personally don't put him there. He plays big minutes. He can play physical. He's not as smart.
Right. But that thing a little bit, as Tommy was mentioning about Adam Fox, he's the one, like if Fox and Makar, if you come to a game and they're both in the lineups, you're going to notice Makar.
Yeah.
You go to 5 games and you watch Fox, you go, oh my God, he did it again.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he did it again.
Yeah.
He and Panarin have the same hockey minds.
Yeah.
Panarin's, Panarin's off the chart. When you watch Kucherov, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They just,
And Fox has got that thing, like he'll be on the other team's blue line on a power play or something, getting pressured, and he's not afraid to make a move there. Right? Like I'd be dumping in the corner to get rid of it. He's dangling at the blue line. It's a breakaway if he doesn't work for him, and he does it all the time, and he does it well.
That's something that Brian Leach could do like no one else.
right.
Leachy under pressure. I mean, he could bat pucks out of the air, keep them in.
Yeah.
He would make some space out of nothing, and I think Fox does those types of things.
Yeah.
So we just had a trade there. Nashville traded Arvidsson to LA for two.
A first round this year and a second round next year.
They've got it listed as a third round pick in 2022 and a second round pick in 2021.
Oh, really?
That's a TSN, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, that's probably what it is. I think they might have some cap issues.
Yes.
To move people, right?
Yeah. They're stuck with 2 big contracts there with Johansson and I think both those guys are playing way under what they should be doing.
Oh yeah, they're hitting way below the weight.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. Cam was invited to went to Cam Atkinson's wedding, and the day before, Johansson had signed that deal. It's like $65 million.
Yeah.
And I went to, I don't know him really well. I said, how you doing? He said, pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I guess you're doing pretty good. So amazing. But anyway, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how the money, now with the flat cap and, moving forward, how the money plays out. Nugent Hopkins, they locked him up for a long term. But
what do you think of that deal, Tommy?
Oh, geez, I thought the average per year was kind of low for him, wasn't it?
I did too.
Yeah. Well,
but I think that's indicative of what you're going to see. You got to get kind of Cap. You give him credit. Like he's coming off a deal. He's coming off a deal long term at like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
He was making more. I think he was making like a 6-year deal for probably 6.5.
Yeah.
Do you think he said to himself, "Listen, I'll take the 8 years because I may not get that." So that kind of is the trade off, right?
I would think.
I think he says I'll play 8 years with McDavid.
Yeah. Good point.
I've got enough money, and I won't, maybe he likes it there, but he definitely like that. Maybe the market has changed because of it's going to be flat here for a few years, and
Kenny Holland's a good GM. Like he's done that before, where he goes to players and say, "Listen, this is all I can pay you. I love you as a player. This is all I can pay you. Here's why. Here's the plan for the team." And like James, I think, like you said, probably the player feels like I get a chance of winning here now. Although they haven't done it yet, they got a chance of winning. So.
Yeah. No,
Dave, I want to ask you something. Dave, remember way back when James Patrick came in? It was really in the middle of the season, right? It was right near the playoffs, and James came in. What was your first impression of him when he came in the locker room?
I liked him. I knew he was probably going to take my job at some point, and I still liked him. No, James is a right-handed shot. So, no, I listen. I always like. I hope I treated all the young guys when they come in that. He was quieter than the ringleaders like you in the room, and
he sat right beside Ray Rex Lane, too. The two of them never talked a word. remember, like I said, I gave over to Rex. I said, "Rexy, shut up! God, I couldn't bother you." Right? He hadn't even talked to you.
I remember Herbie talking about James. So, oh my God, I'll never forget. It was in Buffalo. That was the year I broke my hand. I'll never forget. I punched. Was a Willie Brasker guy played for Vancouver?
Oh yeah,
the winger, Swedish. They scored to make it like 6. We were up 5-0 or something. They scored to make it 5-1. I was so pissed. I punched him, broke my thumb.
Oh,
so I remember I was out, and that was start of the year. So this was in November, December before. Oh my God, Herbie got me in the Buffalo Auditorium. The morning skate. I guess I was traveling with the team. Oh my God, he was going on and on and on about this kid was coming out of college, Western Canadian kid, could skate, had a mind. Then when James showed up, I was like, I don't remember what he was talking about.
Yeah.
No, I didn't remember.
He could play with a toilet bowl on his head there.
No, I did for 6 weeks. I did, and that was after David left.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh,
so for 6 weeks, Ted Sater made me wear this neck collar because I missed a game with a pinched nerve in my neck.
Right.
And so 20 years that I played, 90% of the pictures ever taken of me were taken when I wore that thing on my neck.
I was skating around a war off, so I'm trying to think who it was on the other team. When you skate around, you're on the red line there, and some guy on the other team goes, "Does Patrick have a toilet bowl seat on his head?"
I hope you told him off for me.
I did. I said, "Don't you talk about him like that."
Yeah, right. Don't you touch him.
Yeah.
It was like a big target on my back.
Oh, God.
Now they're really going to run me.
Especially in those days.
Yeah.
Especially you were coming out of college too, right? Despite that was even.
And that was the year, James, you came in. It was right at the end of the season. Then we had the big, played the Islanders in the playoffs, and that's that overtime goal by Morrow, right? Was that?
Yeah. Because Flatley went to the Islanders, right? And LaFontaine went to the Islanders.
Yeah.
And you and Bob Brook.
Me and Bobby Brook. Yeah,
that's right, Bob Brook.
Yeah. I run into Bob. I used to run into him in business.
Yeah.
I was wondering what he's one guy I have never heard where he ended up.
Yeah, he was back east for a while. He was in Boston. Now he's out in
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was working for Hedgeye there, where my son was working for a while. He was a salesman.
Right. Yeah, that's where. Yeah,
Gene Cleves was working there too. Your buddy, right?
Yeah, I think he's still there. I think John's still there.
Bobby was a smart guy. Like I figured he'd be successful somewhere.
Right. I used to run into him, and then that's right. He was with Hedgeye. That's the most recent time. So.
Okay.
How about Tom Curvers, huh? Is that a sad story? Huh? Oh boy, never smoked a day in his life.
I know.
It's interesting, right? Because everybody hears the lung cancer, just assuming it was cigarettes, but they say like 50% of it is not.
Yeah, it's not. Right. That's Yeah, it's amazing.
Did you play with him, Dave?
No, what happened? He worked for Don out in Calgary or out in Phoenix.
Oh.
So I met him there. I met him through Don.
Yeah.
And had lunch with him, and I guess he was pretty well traveled guy. I mean,
yeah,
he played for a lot of teams. And then he got involved in management. And pretty well thought of by a lot of people. I mean, game one was in Tampa, and he'd been there for quite some time. And boy, a lot of people really spoke highly of him. So,
is you cleaning lady, Dave?
Pardon me?
Are you cleaning lady?
Walk
through the kitchen?
Yeah.
Could we get her on the show? Hello, ma'am? Ma'am? I don't want to be rude. I was just speaks English well.
Yeah.
Oh, good, ma'am. Yes. You want to talk about cleaning?
No, we're gonna go this way. You can look at
talk about cleaning. Really, we should do a cleaning. We'll do a cleaning segment. We've talked about cars. We've talked about a lot of stuff. Now we're talking to a cleaning segment.
Yeah. Cleaning,
so does she come once a week or what?
Yeah. She's been with Al, my wife, forever, right?
Oh.
You've been with Alex for how long?
The Decker's age.
Yeah. So 24 years.
24 years.
Yeah, my wife. So
good. Well, we should have her on the show. That she's been with you 20. She's part of the family, basically.
No.
Ma'am, did she use a Swiffer wet jet, or does she use a regular mop clean the floors?
We use the Swiffer wet because I have to go to Costco and get the supplies.
Oh yeah. Well, that smells good too when you clean the floor with that. Good smell.
Yeah, it's good. So,
what room are you in there, Dave?
I'm in our little. We've got. It's a little.
It's not little, Dave. It's not little.
No, it is little.
Like Casa de Dave.
No, there's our kitchen. My kitchen's right here. We got a galley.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
Galley kitchen.
Nice galley kitchen.
Yeah. That goes out to the garage. That's we got the gym out there, front door.
I like the style there. The wood and all that. Nice.
Yeah. Through there is used to be my office, but my wife's working in there now. Yeah, so that's the tour.
Paula changed her name to
Alex.
No.
Yeah. No, I got yeah. So he's hard at work at Amazon. They're like slave drivers, so it's good.
Oh, before I forget too, not necessarily for you two guys, but anybody watching, I'm doing a walk for Alzheimer's, Alzheimer's walk. I can't remember, so obviously it's an issue with me. An Alzheimer's walk is in October. And if you go to my Facebook page, you can donate to it. We need to raise money for it. And we're putting a team together to be, you guys are welcome to be part of it. It's going to be the Grasshoppers.
What's the date?
October 2nd or 3rd. I think it's the 2nd.
Early.
It's up at SUNY Purchase. The Rangers are going to have a presence there. They'll have maybe those plastic boards or blow-up boards that have and everything like that. So go to my Facebook page. And you can donate and be on the team, or you can do both. I'd love that. We're going to try to get a big team together and have some fun.
All right.
Awesome.
That's another, you're just all over the map. I got an email from Ice Hockey in Harlem. I saw you're predominantly displayed on that.
Yes.
That
was fun last year.
You play in the golf tournament, Tommy?
No, I show up after. I'm the MC and I do the auction.
Gee, you won't believe what this guy does now. The frame of reference is when we were all younger and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, see him all over the place. He's marching at the beach. He's lifting weights.
I see the workouts. I see the walks in the morning.
Yeah. I think I'll do the auction this year with no shirt on.
Oh, my God.
The what? The what?
With no shirt. I'll do the auction like I did last year with no shirt.
Yeah. No, that's
so last year I was doing the auction, James, and Dave played in the tournament, so it's the dinner after, and they've all golfed together all day long, and we're sitting down eating. So his group was there, and I said, "So did you guys sign the waiver to play golf with Dave? Did he snap at all?" And they're all, "Oh no, he was fine, he's fine." So Dave had to leave early, and his group was still sitting in the corner. So I went back to him. I said, "So tell us the truth." And they go, "You won't believe it, he snapped."
Yeah, those days. I swear to God, those days are gone now. I swear.
Yeah.
I swear they're gone.
They were so funny too. They were being so polite when Dave was there too. It's like, oh no, he was.
No, it was good, perfect gentleman. So Yeah, those days are gone, thankfully. I think they're gone.
Yeah.
I'm playing better too, so it's good. Are you a golfer, James?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Good.
so it's been
Dave, he can do it. He can do everything. There's
Yeah.
nothing he can't do.
Yeah. I should have just assumed that, right, Tom?
Yeah.
I don't know why-
James, you a pretty good golfer?
Who? Jake?
James.
I'm like a 12 handicap.
What are you, Dave?
16.
Oh.
Somewhere in there.
Is that pretty accurate when you do these handicap things? Is that really what you are as a golfer? Like, or is that just kind of a gauge like that?
If you put your scores in regularly, yeah. Like I'll bet, yeah. If you put your scores in there, it's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Pretty same place.
So that's how you do it? You just put your scores in and get averages? Like,
Average your last 10 scores.
oh,
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah. So it kind of keeps things apparently even until you get the guys that don't put their scores in, or guys like me that don't put the high scores in. So I'm probably like a 20, but my ego can't stand being a 20. So I can put the low ones in. Well,
Oh, James, how are you doing with your ticket? I don't know if you saw that, Dave. James, when he went back into Canada, didn't realize he had to get a test. So
Right.
they waited for a while, ultimately gave you a test, right? But then they gave you a ticket for $8,000.
Yeah, I got hit by the COVID police here in Canada. So I have a lawyer. He's on top of it. So we have to within the next month. You have to respond to it. So,
but it's an $8,000 fine.
I got fined $8,500. I think it's an arbitrary fine. I flew out of. If you fly out of Canada, I knew I was, again going down to visit a sick friend in New York, and when I didn't want to fly out of Winnipeg because in Canada, if you fly back, they make you stay in a
hotel
for 3 days, but if you drive to the States, so I drove down to Fargo, North Dakota. I flew out of there, and when I came back, you're supposed to get a COVID test 72 hours before you enter the country, which was my fault. I didn't realize it, and so I didn't have that. I went through customs. They make you park because even no matter what, everyone has to do a COVID test at the border. But then I got pulled into a room with a lady from COVID Canada, and she kind of grilled me on my irresponsibility and what right did I have to go to the States, even though I'm a dual citizen, and which I told her, and I told her the reason for my visit, but she didn't like that. So
here's some. See, our fans are like helpful. Here we go. Where is this? All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's what's going to happen anyways. It's going to cost me $5,000.
So now, see, I was there. I went to Canada last September, and I had to quarantine when I went. There was no, I'm coming back to States in reverse order, right? But I was quarantined for 2 weeks, and I got a robocall, and then I got a regular woman called me. And,
when you were in Canada?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But did you have a COVID test before you came into the country? Do you remember that? Yeah. See, I mean, she blamed me for not seeing the website and checking up on what your requirements were.
I must have had a COVID test. I wouldn't have got. I drove across, and they gave you. Yeah, I must have had the COVID test, and because that was probably once they closed the border. That was because I know a lot of things changed right around Christmas time. Right, they got a lot.
Yeah, it got a lot stricter. And where did you cross in?
Fort Erie.
Fort Erie, yeah. And I know Ontario and Manitoba, where I am, they've really buckled down.
Right.
And they're the two provinces with the severe lockdowns.
Right.
So, James, I forgot to ask you, James. Do you have a team of maids that comes in and cleans the castle there, or what?
No. Talking about, I saw Dave's cleaning lady there again. I know Mel was exaggerating. I have a small little bungalow. I moved into a year ago, coming back to Winnipeg to coach here. And I'm actually thinking, because I don't do a good enough job cleaning, but it would probably take a cleaning lady about 15 minutes to clean this place.
Stop.
I got like one big room here and 2 bedrooms upstairs and 1 bedroom on the main floor, and that's it.
Oh, okay. So you do have a clean lady or no?
Oh, I don't.
Oh,
I am looking into it.
know,
Dave, if you were single, would you have a clean lady?
at my age now, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, at your age now. What do you like? You're
Well, I mean, you're young, you don't care.
Okay,
Oh,
but
I see. I'm an older guy, you know.
how many people live in the house, Dave?
Alex Decker, my stepson.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
three of us.
Oh, there's three.
And he's only here because of COVID. He had a place in the city. He signed the lease January 1st, 2020. He was there, went on a ski thing with his mother in February, and then never went back. So he had, so he's out here till he figures out, and he can work out of the house. He's in the real estate business. So the house, when we built the house, it was just, we thought it was going to be just the two of us. And then that was 10 years ago, and every one of our children have been here for significant amounts of time. So
Okay. Okay, Dave, I mentioned last time I did drive. I went into a few liquor stores in Greenwich looking for. I thought you were in Glenville.
yeah, no,
So
yeah,
yeah. Tommy said you're closer to the hospital.
yeah.
And what's the name? What's the name of it?
Continental Fine Wines.
Okay.
Good morning, Continental Fine Wines. Dave here.
I was in Costco today, and a guy came up to me that I'd forgotten. He owns a liquor store on the Post Road in Cost Cobb there.
Oh yeah, Randy Caravello.
Randy, yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Randy.
yeah.
Yeah, we were laughing. I said, "Yeah, you're our teammate there." He said the other liquor store. He was.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's fun. I honestly, I do enjoy it. I enjoy it's a couple days a week. Although Mike, the owner's going on vacation on mid-July, so I'll be in there every morning for a week, and it's good. I like.
You want me to come in and help out?
Yeah, you can come on in. Just give me. You can come in, and we need we need somebody that knows exactly the better vodkas and the healthier stuff and things like that.
We'll give some health tips while people are coming in there, like things they should eat properly and fasting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. While they're buying a bottle of Smirnoff or something like that.
And a bag of chips.
Oh, it's so good. It's been interesting kind of learning about all the different spirits and beers, and there's so many craft beers and IPAs out there and lagers, and it's all
What do you think, Dave?
What's that?
What do you think?
No, I like watching you guys. I mean, it's Mel was made for this because he balances the three of you guys out. So that's
Well,
All
right,
so-
one
Okay,
of my
James.
highlights of the week is watching you guys.
Okay, James, fasting doesn't work. I gained 4 pounds my first week. I don't think you may be doing it right, James. If you'd like to contact me, you could have a little lesson in how to fast properly.
so the gaining the 4 pounds probably would mean he wasn't doing it right, right?
I would think that's fine. But again, we have to be clear. Fasting isn't just about losing weight, too. It's a lot of healthy stuff. Autophagy cleans out your insides, and regenerates the cells in your body and your brain. So,
Okay, is that a fast or is that the daily fast?
so I do a 16-hour fast.
Yeah, so you don't eat after 6 and you will eat at noon the next day.
Yeah, so well, that's not really.
Okay, what's
16
hours? Yeah, give me the hours.
But you're the one that told us there was 5 quarters or something like that too. Your math is not like, you're an intelligent man, and I love you, I admire you a lot, but your math is not good.
5 quarters to what?
Remember you were on the show the first time last couple months ago, and you were talking about something. Oh, you said Winnipeg's divided into 5 quarters.
Oh, okay, 5 sections, whatever.
You know now. Don't pay attention.
Answer the fasting question.
And now
It was the same thing 30 years ago.
No, nothing has
Don't
changed.
pay attention to them. Let's just let it go.
So I stop eating at 8 at night.
Yeah.
And then I don't eat it until noon.
That's the cycle my wife's on. She's on this one.
And so the idea is, so after 12 hours, so like at 8 o'clock in the morning, roughly, your body has burned out all the calories and everything inside there. Now it goes into the state of autophagy, where it's creating more human growth hormone, it's regenerating cells in your body, and it burns fat. And if you actually work out during the fast, it's even better. It helps the autophagy even more. So now the idea some people do then is when it's time to eat, you got to eat in that window it's an 8-hour window from 12 to 8. You eat. So some people think I'm just going to gorge myself with junk food. Well, that defeats the purpose, right? You eat healthy. You just eat more the same amount of calories you normally eat from the morning till you go to bed. That's what you eat in an 8-hour window. So
Okay, do you eat 2 meals? What do you eat?
No, I still try to get my 3 meals in. So when I break the fast, usually, so I'll start off, I'll have a shot of ginger and turmeric. So ginger and turmeric are really, like, a lot of people suffering from allergies now. Big change, Dave? Is that what you're?
No, that's my thought. Like, oh my God, from 35 years ago, the opposite end of the spectrum, the chips, the chicken wings, and the booze.
This is Jack Daniels. You know, drinking turmeric and ginger.
Yeah.
He would have been putting turmeric and ginger in his Jeep.
And Tommy, I will say this, like I mean this in a really good way. In my career, I never saw a guy who could drink the night before a practice or a game, a practice.
Right.
And the next day be one of the best guys on the ice. Like, I saw him yesterday drink, 15 drinks and 10 shots. How can he be flying, skating? I could never do that.
Practice.
Yeah.
Well, the big thing was too, like, I was like, remember we used to park, I'd have my Jeep and I would park it in front of the pub, and Herbie would drive by, especially with Herbie, and he'd see it there. And I would intentionally leave it there. Sometimes I'd leave and still leave it there. Like, he'd come to me to practice the next day. He says, I drove by there at 1 o'clock, your Jeep was there. I drove by there at 5 o'clock, your Jeep was still there. And he'd get right in my face, to see if he could smell the booze or whatever. And I'd say, Herbie, I'm going to be the hardest worker out here today. So if you got a problem, meet me at the pub. So you go back and forth. So then I thought to myself, I better be the hardest worker out here today, because I've set myself up.
Yeah. Play guilty, right? Play hard.
Yeah, and that's the way, it sounds kind of barbaric now with the way the game is now. But that's the way it was back then too, right? That was part of being.
It was. So when I came in the mid 70s, like 74.
Yeah.
It got a lot better, in 84.
Yeah. I remember Kelly Miller and Mike Ridley came up, and we went out to eat at Order and Redskins after a game one night, and they ordered a glass of milk. And we were outraged. We were like, what are they doing ordering milk?
My first meal on the road in Minneapolis before my first game, the waitress came. There was about 6 of us at the table. I'm pretty sure I was at the table with you, Dave. Everyone ordered 2 beers. Like, we put our bags in the room, came over to the restaurant in by the old Met Center there, and everyone ordered 2 beers right off the bat. Like, to guzzle one and then to have the next one to drink before she brought the next round, and the night before a game. I was
dumbfounded.
I was in shock.
So, yeah. Well, it was funny. Like, we had the little routine down, right? So you go out, you have your beers. You don't stay out too late the night before a game.
No.
Then you get up, you go morning skate, you sweat some of it out. You have the pregame meal and then a nap for 3 hours, and you get up, you're feeling fantastic, right, for the game, man.
Play the game and then go out after the game.
Yeah, totally.
You stayed overnight. So
although I do remember, like, our generally the routine was we would travel on a Friday, let's say Montreal, play Saturday night. Then we'd fly home after the game on Saturday night, and then we played home on Sunday. So now you figure we got out Friday night. We played the game on Saturday. So by Sunday, we were dead tired. They couldn't figure out why we couldn't play so well on Sunday night. It's like, that was being a pro. Yeah.
That was then being a pro. Like, now they do all the right things, and that's being a pro. Like, they talk about being a pro and learning to play. Well, that's how I remember guys like, God rest his soul, Bill Goldsworthy, Dallas Smith. They were, these guys played in the early 60s.
Yeah. And
I remember Billy Goldsworthy's day would rotate around practice. So he would show up in practice like he'd been out late all night, get through practice, shave and shower after practice, and start it again.
Yeah. But you're right, Dave. It was almost like that was part of being a team player.
Yeah.
The guys that didn't go were like,
No, there was really, my generation started it, but it was my brother Don's generation. Like, he's only 2 years behind me, but 4 years behind hockey-wise. So it started to change, but the whole ideas all started to change too. After 72, the Canada-Russia series. Yeah. And then now the training began to happen. Now they had to, it took a while for everybody to buy into it, Canadians, but no, it really did. That's the one thing that changed dramatically from 74 to 84 was the conditioning and training and dramatically.
Yeah.
My first year, I was having trouble keeping my weight up. And I remember one of the Ranger scouts said, if you drink two Guinness, he says go like drink Guinness beer. It's a real heavy beer. You can find it in some liquor stores. If you drink 2 of those a day, your weight will stay like you'll put on a few pounds. You'll be perfect.
There's science. There's science right there.
Yeah,
science. Oh,
and it was serious. That was serious.
Yeah.
Well, I think I told you guys when I got in the agent business when I retired out in LA there, I know I was starting to get clients and they were calling me at night, and I'm still kind of living that player life where I sit around, work's done, I'm having a few beers, and I'm certain these guys are calling me at night after games, and I've like probably 6, 7, 8 beers in, and I'm thinking, I can't remember, am I speaking properly? You know, these are young, impressionable kids. So I really scared myself. I said, listen, I've got to slow it down here. You know, maybe just drinking weekends sort of was, and I quit drinking for 5 years altogether because I started to realize that for the last, probably 15 years, you factor college and pro in, it's been drinking beer every night. That was just part of the culture all the time for me. So, yeah.
Well, I think, I think you go along. I mean, I worked a lot. Like I probably work harder now working out than I did when I was 18 and 19. No question.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. No, we just didn't know as much, right? We didn't know how our body was functioning. Yeah.
No, I remember Vad epitomized. He said when the season was over, he put a nail through his skates in the garage. And when he had to show up for training camp, pulled the nail out of his skates and showed up at camp.
That is amazing. Look, all those great players from the past that lived like that, the Gordie Howes, the Bobby Orrs, they didn't do anything during the summer, right? Well, they farmed. I mean,
yeah. I mean, but the game, when you look at the game, though, the game was played, right? I mean, like Bobby was Bobby, right? But there are probably 15 guys that have the skills that Bobby had in the game, at least now. With the way these kids come through youth hockey and the different programs and the coaching and the equipment.
You can only compare everyone against their era.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I do think the superstars, if they're special, those guys in the eras were special. If they've been privy to the ideas, whether it was training or coaching or nutrition or whatever, would have been because they're special. They've got wiring.
Like even Ross, like for us three to play, we also had to be competitive and driven, right? We say the game's different now, but in all likelihood, we would have adjusted. Our goal was to play in the NHL, so we would have adjusted to make it to the NHL. Yeah.
Well, that's like I always say, Herbie demanded a lot. He demanded a lot. He demanded that you be good, right? And at the time, I think, oh God! But I look back. It wasn't long out, and I look back and I say, you know what? My best years were the guy that just made you pay attention. Just be the best you can be.
And I even think in life too now, Dave. Like I remember the stuff he said to me and what he brought out in me, and I feel the same way in my business world, my relationships, and all that stuff now too. So yeah.
Sure.
Hey, Dave. What's your cleaning lady's name? We won't tell anybody. It's just between us.
If I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Okay, can we get her on the show next week?
No.
That's a hard no?
That's a hard no.
Well, gee, listen, we'd love to have you on. I know you like watching the show. What's that, Dave, sir?
No, it's just commenting on your comments about James. Just saying it's great. It's great to visit, great to chat.
I'm going to keep bugging you to keep coming on the show, but if you don't want to come on, that's totally up to you. But we'll be stuck with Mel.
No, you know what? If you ever need me to fill in, I'll come on anytime.
Okay.
But I want. I'm just hopeful Gresh will get back soon. I know Mel will be back next week.
Okay. And again, I'll try to dig up some video of Mel.
Fishing with Mel.
Yeah. Fishing with Mel. Passed out, no shirt on, and you get beat red with a big sunburn and a Pabst Blue Ribbon. What a sight that is. Yeah. Oh, all right, guys. Great to see you. We'll see you next week. Have a good holiday this weekend too.
Okay.
Great seeing you guys.
Yeah.